Hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here and to present my work to you. I'd like to speak about the ways that I collaborated with the scientists that I was working with in diamond light source. That's an image of a sex pole magnet, and the light, the laser beam, is actually sent through that center of light. So I thought I would start the talk off with that image. Yeah, that's me. So where did it begin? It was a really simple, very, very simple idea. I was rung up by a person, by the communications manager for Diamond Light Source late in last year in January, and he asked me if I'd be interested in working in the synchrotron and working with their sounds. And it was, I didn't actually know what a synchrotron was when he rang me up. So I was kind of, okay. He said, come down to Diamond Light Source and come and hear what we have here. So I went to Diamond Light Source, I walked into the space, and I immediately knew that it's a massive, massive, this is the space. So those are my students walking around the space, recording the sounds. So the idea was that I would come and listen and record sounds, and they wanted the general public to have an experience of Diamond Light Source via sound, actually, rather than, so it would be to invite the public in by putting their sounds or a public artwork on the internet, and everyone could access it freely, and it would be a really, really free knowledge exchange. I was really interested in this idea, and I got very excited, and I went down to Diamond Light Source. I walked into the space, saw this massive space, and there's huge amounts of machinery going on everywhere, and it's very, the sound and pitch to noise ratio and everything is completely stimulating as a musician and an artist, and to everyone. I'm sure it would be an incredible experience. I went down there in January, and then I went with my students again to make some recordings, and then went back for a week. Can you see? Yeah. I went back for a week and stayed there for a week. Just had a very, very focused week working with the scientists, and it really was a process of, I had to find a common denominator that we could work with together, and it was, we exchanged knowledge. The idea, the synchrotron had knowledge which they wanted to share, which was the sound. I was working with the users of the knowledge, which was the scientists. As an artist, I came to the project with my own knowledge, which was art and music and ways of creating different musics. And we worked together to draw both disciplines together as a team, and to potentially gain a new type of knowledge, which was interesting for both of us, I think. So that was the type of that was a model that I think we were working with. I'm not quite sure, but that was kind of the model that we were working with together. So if I don't want to play. I'll just talk about the scientists, actually. So I was working with, when I went down to the synchrotron and stayed there for a week, I was taken to lots and lots and lots of different places, and lots of different experiments were going on. And I didn't actually quite know what I was going to work with, to be honest. I knew I had made binaural recordings of the space and the sounds in the space, but I was still looking at different experiments that were going on, and there was experiments with molecular crystallography or techniques, and I was taken to experiments that use sapphires, and really, really interesting, really incredible scientific sort of experiments were going on at these beamlines. But then I was taken to a place called the MATLAB, and the MATLAB is like a tool that monitors the synchrotron and the motion in the synchrotron, and all of the synchrotron, the electron beam, the light that goes through and around the synchrotron. And I was taken there, and then I was introduced to a person called Günter Reim and Michael Albert. And Michael Abbott actually wrote a software which used spectrograms to monitor the movement of the light. So people were listening to the electron injections going into the beam, and they would monitor if there was any problems on the beam, so it could potentially, they could listen in to different parts of the beam, and it was really fascinating to see how they were working with it. So I decided to actually focus on that material. So I had the binaural recordings, which were sort of external recordings that I'd done. And then I had material from actually inside the heart of the synchrotron, which was a pure data. And I had nothing to do with those recordings, or the way that, this was stuff that the synchrotron, or people in the synchrotron, had actually made themselves. It was also it wasn't a recording of pure light. It was potentially like a recording of, there were recordings of sort of the movement of light, actually. So, and that was incredible to actually work with as a musician, as an artist, to think that you have the access and the capacity to be working with this incredible sonic material. So I was very excited in that, and we over a week and like a period of, well, I had access to these recordings, but I had to choose what data I was actually going to use. And I worked with the scientists to actually choose it. So they were sending me information about the sounds, and what they found interesting in the sounds, and how, and I had the choice to actually use that sound or not. was able to go into the MATLAB and sit there and listen to live recordings, live monitoring of the synchrotron. And it just changed my whole, I think it changed my whole idea of music to a certain extent, because this was engaging sonic, really, really powerful material, and it didn't necessarily have a structured form to it. Or it had a very, very structured form that it had like a 10 minutes present in sort of engagement where you had like electron injections, or you had injections of electrons into the beam, but everything else was very, very, very sort of and it was very uncontrolled because gestures were happening and people actually didn't know on the lines sometimes what those gestures were, but they were still sonic. Well, for me, they were sonically engaging. For the scientists, they were a problem when those gestures happened. Now, I'll play you some of the material that I was working with. So, there. I'm just going to end this actually. It's kind of, yeah, there it is, isn't it? That was it. Okay, I'm on Safari so I can get to it quicker than the PowerPoint will. Right. That's my webpage. And so this is Crystal. This is how Crystal worked. So I made a oh, it's gone. It's gone. All right, sorry. So Crystal, I made Crystal, and the work itself is on the internet, so you can hear it, and anyone can hear it. I was asked to put it on the internet, and then the live source sounds that. So, okay, the source sounds that I was using. I'm going to play you this one, and you can see from the sound wave, there's a sound, that you can see the injections of the electrons. See the peak? We have no sound. Should hear something. But if you can see the peak, and what I was doing was I decided to work with the peaks and troughs really, really in a detailed fashion. And the scientists that I was working with were saying, no, you can't work with those because they're problems. and I was saying, well, I think that's really, really interesting material. And we both came to a compromise what I should work with, or what would be. Still can't hear anything. what we could work with together, what would actually share information, and what would. Is there going to be? Shall I? To the sound coming from there. We can't hear that. Yeah, okay. Maybe it's this one. Here we are. It's this one. I don't know whether you can hear it, but I can hear chorus and pitch and verse and rhythm. And there, in the MATLAB, there was different, the different positions of the beam line. There was I had 172 different positions that I could focus into and listen to. And they all had different pitches. What I had the opportunity of doing through discussion and lots of discussion and sharing ideas and how we could actually work this or work as a team. I had the opportunity of when I performed the work live, when it was all finished and I'd written the work and I performed it to the scientist in the electron ring. I'll show you the photo here. I actually I had a live feed from the MATLAB into a mixing desk. Can I get back? I had a live feed from the MATLAB into the mixing desk, and it was incredible. So I was working live with this material. It was very, very, very powerful experience, and as a creative, as a creator and person that actually just wants to share what I make, I actually just really, 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 really wanted to share it with the world, and so the model actually worked as far as my expectations of what I was gaining as a person, as a human being in creating work. Diamond Light Source, I delivered a work for Diamond Light Source which they could share and work with and use to sort of bring people in to know, and it's like personal investigation and communal investigation, because the sounds are on SoundCloud, so people are interacting with the sounds at different levels in a private spaces and on a communal space. So it was all, I think it worked actually. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Thank you.